I think you give credit to St. Louis. They came out really aggressive with a lot of intensity. It's something that we had talked about before. And I think for us, we did. We didn't. I think we didn't exploit the spaces especially in the first half that I thought were available. Probably a little bit more in the central areas. And could we get the ball from one side to the other? And so for us, yeah, it was just a little bit of a difficult night, kind of like you said, creating chances, and I think we needed to be probably better in a lot of the phases of the game tonight.
Ben, go ahead if you have a follow-up.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on Dan and Walker, obviously both pretty important players for you this year, especially Dan on the left side. Could you just touch on maybe the significance of their injuries and what impact you thought that potentially had tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have somebody like Dan who's played a lot of minutes this year. Both of them, we expect to be participating in training next week. And kind of see how they respond to that for when you look forward to the weekend. But I think gave other guys opportunities to step up tonight, and I think you saw a couple of good performances. But overall, as a team, we're going to win as a team. We're going to lose as a team. We're going to evaluate the team. Evaluate the game as a team, and we'll grow and learn from some of these things, and we'll come back and get better.
We'll move on to Blair Shavila. If you have a follow-up, go ahead with it.
Yeah, BJ, tonight was a rare appearance for Yas back higher up the pitch, and then Brugman and Eddie kind of were the deep lying players. What did you want to see from that? And, did you see what you wanted from it during this match?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think, Gaston shows that he can be a deep line playmaker and was able to get the ball on the ball. So for us, we thought that was going to be important coming into the game. And I thought Patrick, did well trying to run behind the line. And so for us, we'll take a look at it and see how effective it was when we analyze the game and kind of, go back from there.
And I just want to ask for the late goal that was called off, or not offside, sorry, was called as a foul. I'm not really sure how you saw it from the pitch, but was there any explanation given to you on what was going on there, and what did you think of it as well?
It was hard for me to see because of where it occurred. Obviously, I think there's a lot of tussling and Teal's shirt gets taken off. But I mean, from the standpoint of the situation, I think is, the call was made after the ball went in the net. So it did allow them to go to review, and, then that process plays itself out.
Jacob, you can go ahead if you have a follow-up. You can go with it.
Yeah, BJ, St. Louis started 4 players who just joined the team in the last, few weeks or so. 2 of them scored goals. I guess, how did you prepare for just knowing you would be facing such a kind of a new look St. Louis team, and what maybe challenges did that pose for you guys?
No, I think, you've seen that they've made changes in their roster. We expected a team that was going to come out with intensity and aggressive. That's what they did. You give them a ton of credit that, that they played like they have something to prove. And, they finished their chances really well. So you give credit to them. And, for us, we all are going to take responsibility. I take responsibility myself. And we'll go back and look at the game, and we'll make the corrections that we need to make.
And you mentioned St. Louis coming out with something to prove, and obviously with their place in the standings, they're still a ways out of the playoffs, still trying to maybe fight for a chance there. Is there anything you can take away from just that wanting to prove something from them tonight, just even though you're in a totally different position in the standings, of course?
No, I mean, I think for us, we know that bringing the right intensity is from the start is what we need to be and what we want to do. And for us, I think it was just about we needed to execute better. St. Louis did a good job. You have to give them credit. But I think for us, we just needed to execute a little bit better, create some clear goal scoring chances. And I think we'll take it. It's the one game doesn't define us or define our season. We'll go back, we'll review, and we'll move forward.
Yeah, I just saw that he's going a little bit towards my left, that he made that move. But obviously this goes so quick, I cannot really see that he goes off the line. But yeah, that's football. That's happens. And yeah.
Yeah. And St. Louis came in with a pretty tough season record wise, struggling, but we're able to get a big win, seem to play very inspired tonight. I guess is there anything you can learn just from the way they played and came out this game, even though you're obviously in a much different position with your record with the season you've had so far?
Yeah, I think that is a good learning lesson. It's a good punch in the face at the right time. I think we have done so well so far, and we can be proud of it. But yeah, the last two road games or three road games, we have to look into that and learn, because there will be very interesting games coming up now, and we need to take our lessons out of these last games and do it better.
We'll move forward with Valère.
Hey, Hany. Your last three trips to Western Conference teams, Seattle, San Diego, and now St. Louis, didn't end up well. Is there a pattern there? Is there something about Western teams, or do you think that's just a coincidence?
Yeah, I just said it also in the locker room. I don't know why that is, but yeah, we definitely have to look more into that. Three Western Conference, three losses. Like we have to figure that out. But yeah, we have to stay positive. It can happen. It's a good timing. It's a good punch in the face. It's very painful because much needed 3 points in St. Louis, but it's a very good reminder for all of us. There are no easy points in this league, even though St. Louis was struggling before this game, and we have to keep fighting, keep working hard, keep pounding the fundamentals, and yeah, moving forward, we have to take our lessons.
And then just on that final goal that wasn't given, what did you see from your position on the pitch, and what was the explanation given to you from the referee?
Yeah, I haven't looked it back, but from my perspective, Tier was not even really in the picture when the goal happened. But yeah, it's frustrating. But I think it's not the right time for us players to point fingers on this. We had our chances. There was enough space to create more chances, and we have to watch video back and study the film to see where we can improve. And from my perspective, just coming out of the game, there was so much more in this game, so much more we could have done. And yeah, that is the mindset for us players, not concentrating on the ref. He makes the decision. We can't change that, but we can definitely change our performances.
And we'll wrap it up with Ben Wright.
Yeah, Hany, you just talked about kind of some of the space and maybe some of the chances that you guys had. It felt like, especially in the first few minutes, you had a lot of looks on the break, and then St. Louis were able to kind of control a period. How do you feel like you guys can maybe manage that middle stretch of the game better?
Yeah, I think from my feeling, I think we should have, given them the ball a little bit more in the, like let them come to us, like we try to press them high, and that is what they wanted. The first, I think, the 20 minutes, we attack, they attack, we attack, they attack. There was no like control, and that is not what we're about. We want to control the game with the ball. We want to, sustain the attacks in their halves, and we didn't do a good enough job today. I think we should have been way more patient. Like we rushed it, myself included. Like sometimes we rushed the attack because it seemed so open, but that is what they want. And then you do a mistake, and then they all of a sudden are in your half. And we don't want to have a 70-yard game, back and forth. That is not our strength. Our strength is pinning the opponents in and keeping the ball. And then, like being a good mid-block team, and then from the mid-block going to press, like being more compact. And I think today we didn't do a good enough job to be compact and make it difficult. Like they're good if you give them space. If you give them 70-yard space, they're good enough players to score goals. We saw that today. And but I think if we make the field 25, 20 yards, like it's very hard to break lines, to play behind. And yeah, lessons to be learned. And yeah, we have to move forward. That's part of the season. Now the very interesting part starts, So we have to lock in and we have to find the winning ways back.
And then BJ has talked a lot about just being process oriented instead of results oriented. And I know earlier in the season that was probably important to not get too high when you guys were on that long unbeaten run. How important is it now to kind of just stick to the process and not get too low after two losses?
Yeah, this is football. There will be times where you don't score, where you don't win, where you maybe win 15 games, and like this is part of a season. We have to believe in each single player. We have to believe in the coach. We have to believe in the system. We have to believe in the philosophy of the club, and we have to stick to these fundamentals. And if we stick to them and work hard every single day, we will go back to it. And I have no doubt the mentality of the team is great. Like I have really no doubt that we will bounce back, and we have responded the whole year, and that is part of it. Of course, it's painful to lose, especially if you, like you said, like you had a really good stretch, and now all of a sudden teams where you shouldn't lose, you lose, and it's painful, but it's a good learning lesson. We have to breathe now and watch the film back and move on.
All right, thank you. That concludes tonight's media
Thank
availability.
you, guys.